Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you 3 different floral Valentine's Day card ideas, and they are really simple and straightforward, but they make a huge impact and will impress anyone you give them to. For the cards I used 9 by 12 inch watercolor paper, 140 pound. I also used masking fluid, masking tape, a 4H pencil, a round brush, and Winsor & Newton watercolor paints. So the first project we're doing is the heart that is blank on the inside with flowers all around it. So I'm sketching a shape of my heart and I am lining the inside line of my sketch with masking fluid. Make it a little bit thick so it's easier to peel off, and you don't have to fill in the whole heart, just the edge, as you can see here. Wait until the masking fluid is totally dry before you start painting your flowers. Now the masking fluid lining the inside of the heart will make it so that we can paint flowers all the way around this edge of the heart, and there will be a crisp and perfect line once we take that masking fluid off. So feel free to paint right over the top of the masking fluid, but not too far since we didn't paint the entire heart, and it will leave the middle of the heart blank. I'm keeping my flower shapes really simple and straightforward. Some are going to be half hidden under the heart. There's going to be bunches of 2 or 3. There's going to be larger ones that are by themselves, like in that lower left corner. But the most important thing is to really just balance out color and shape throughout your card. So you don't want too many pinks next to each other, too many oranges. You don't want a bunch of little flowers together in one corner and too many big flowers over on the right. So I try to balance out adding a big flower in an orange color and then adding a pink flower next to it. Just stand back every now and then and make sure everything's balanced. I really wanted to fill the entire card with mostly flowers, and so I continued to do that until it felt right. So now we're going to start painting the leaves, and I'm starting with a darker green, and I'm going to switch between a dark green, a more sap green, and a yellow green. And I'm also going to make sure that some of the leaves are really big, some of the leaves are smaller, some of the greenery is a little grassy looking stems, and then also don't be afraid to layer over the top of these flowers. And really the main goal is to fill the white space. Also, one thing you should be trying to do with this project in particular is to make sure there is not a lot of white space around the edge of the masking fluid. When you take the masking fluid off, you're going to want a very crisp line for the heart, and you're not going to have a very detailed and straightforward looking heart unless most of the edge of that masking fluid has watercolor right next to it. So I made sure to put in lots of greenery and flower colors right up next to that masking fluid. Once all of your flowers are dry, you're going to want to add in a bright yellow for the centers. This just really adds a lot of depth to your painting with that bright yellow. And then I go through with dark greens and light greens, and I add different details, more layering. I make sure that, again, there is no white space right up against that masking fluid. You can remove masking fluid once your paint is dry with your fingers or with an eraser. I also have a video that goes into more detail about masking fluid if you're interested in learning more about it. And here is our perfect little heart. That masking fluid is amazing. And I decided to line my heart with gold, but you could totally leave it as is. I just thought it added an extra fun pop. And then for the middle of your heart, you can add a saying, you can add your loved one's name, really whatever you want. The next card we're going to work on is the one where the flowers are in the shape of a heart. So I did a very light heart sketch because I don't want it to show up too much through my flowers. I'm keeping my flower shapes really simple, but I'm mostly focusing on color balance and size balance. I want to make sure that there are bigger flowers and smaller flowers, that they're not evenly spread out along our heart shape, and that there is one flower here, and then the next time I do that same color flower, it's a bunch of two or a bunch of three. So just constantly take a step back and see what areas need more colors, different colors, more volume, etc. And the biggest tip I can give you is to stay within your sketch, because we are trying to paint a perfect heart shape. We don't want too many of the flowers and the leaves to go rogue. And I do let some of the flowers and the leaves poke out in different directions, but we want to stick to that heart shape as much as possible because it will be really easy to lose the shape, and that is the goal of this project, is to have that heart shape. So I'm letting the leaves poke down into that nice tip of the heart to really get that shape nice and crisp. After I added these darker green leaves, I went through and added the bright yellow centers for the flowers, and I felt like this floral heart was missing a bright yellow orange flower. And so I go through, I really bulk up the edges of this heart with these yellow orange flowers. Really, they're all kind of hiding behind these flowers, and I just put them anywhere I felt like needed more color, more depth, more bulk. Now I go in with my lighter bright yellow green leaf to add in more texture and depth and really fill in any spaces or awkward areas to finish off the piece. And really, you can leave your heart looking just like this. It's perfect how it is, but I thought it might be fun to add some stems to make it look more like it was a bouquet that was in the shape of a heart. So the trick is to really keep your strokes light. Don't be afraid of white space, and leaving white space to have the illusion of lines and intersections. And then I added some bigger dark leaves and some smaller lighter colored leaves, again focusing on balance. To the left I have a group of 3, to the right I have a group of 2 with the light leaves, and then I added another dark leaf to the right to add that balance with the dark leaves. And the final touch is adding a dark yellow-brown color to the center of the yellow flowers. Adds nice contrast. The last design is the heart that had flowers on the inside, and I'm taking up the entire card because I don't have anything to worry about on the edges of my heart. And I also decided to do a banner across the middle of the heart, so we will also be applying masking fluid to the banner so that the flowers do not cover up the banner, and I wanted the banner so we could put somebody's name in it or have a saying or anything like that. So for the masking fluid, we're going to cover up the banner that goes across the heart so that we can paint flowers around it, and also on the outer edge of the heart so that none of our paint will escape and it will have that nice crisp line when we're done. When the masking fluid is dry, you can begin painting your flowers, and because it's kind of a large area that is rather significant with this heart, I decided to paint some significantly large flowers like peonies. So I did 2 very prominent peonies, one to this middle right area and one that's going to be in the upper left. I also did a couple of other flowers in the same color to balance out the composition of the heart. And just like in the first design, the more color that I can get right along the edge of the masking fluid, the more crisp the banner will be, the more crisp all of the lines of the heart will be. And so I'm making sure that the colors of the flowers go right up next to the masking fluid, and I'm not leaving too much white space in those areas. So now that I've added my prominently large flowers in this pinkish orange color, I'm going through and adding these smaller flowers that are in bunches in this yellow orange color. The palette is a little light, and so I need to add a dark, kind of bright pink color to help balance out the palette. And I'm really having fun with the shapes of this one. This is kind of my filler flower. So I'm doing big flowers and little flowers. So my goal with the leaves is the same as with the previous two patterns, and that is to balance color and shape and size. And so I'm doing dark leaves, I'm doing one leaf here, groupings of leaves. I'm going to add in some bright yellow green, which will be a really nice contrast. And again, just really filling in that white space and trying to make sure that I'm putting as much color up against the masking fluid as I possibly can. And then don't forget your centers. They are my favorite part of any type of flower pattern because it really brings everything to life and not look so flat. And then after I add those yellow centers, I'm just going to go through with a very light green and make sure that all of the white space is filled. That again, I'm a broken record, but that everything around the masking fluid is filled in and there's no white space left behind. This is just the best part ever. This is why you all watch this video, right? For the masking fluid pulls. And then, you know, I had to add gold. I just really think it adds a really nice touch to the heart. And then after I was looking at it, I thought, why not add a lacy detail around the edge of my heart? And so I did. And so that is also in gold too. And again, you can do whatever you want. You could leave it plain. You don't have to add any gold. I just think it's fun. And then for the banner, I didn't want it to be such a stark white color, so I did a really light pink wash that I feathered out so that it wasn't so bright, especially compared to the flowers right next to it. I outlined it a little bit in pink, and I also made sure that the tails of the ribbon were darker so that it could signify the shadow. And I just really wanted to make sure it stood out from the white background, but I didn't want it to be too dark. And then I outlined the ribbon in gold very lightly, and the paint was still a little bit wet, and so it didn't make a really stark gold line, which was totally fine with me. And with the side of my brush that was a little bit dry, I kind of roughened up the ribbon so that it gave this antique-y textured look to it, and I really liked how it turned out. So even though we used the same color palette and the same pattern and design with the flowers, we ended up with 3 very unique and different Valentine's cards, and I love how they turned out. I really hope you use this tutorial and that you enjoyed it. If you do use it, let me know, and you can tell me below which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.